Welcome, everyone. As we talk about fraud and theft from businesses, it used to be that the way that you accomplished that was through being physically present. Walk into the place with guns a la Bonnie and Clyde. But as we've progressed with technology, it's been possible to steal by other means, to steal online through hacking, and more recently, as both physical and online channels have become defended, to steal through the phone by preying on call centers and other users of phone devices like consumers. Pindrop publishes a phone fraud report, and in 2014, our study indicated that about 1 in every 2,900 calls was a fraud attack. In 2015, that number went up 30% to 1 in every 2,200 calls. This is sort of the average call center, but interestingly, in the money transfer business in particular, the fraud rate is much, much higher. More than 1 in 500 calls is actually a fraud call, and we see twice the rate as in any other vertical. And when we look at what that costs, the direct costs are the loss of the money associated with the transaction. And what we see in fraudulent transactions is somewhere between $800 and $1,500 that are lost. But more significant are missed opportunities. We've seen evidence that somewhere between 2 and 10% of all money transfer orders are fraudulently placed. But what we notice are customers are declining more than half of the money order requests in order to deal with that 2 to 10% problem. So at what cost are you shutting off fraud? What does a phone channel attack look like? There are several stages. Usually it begins with some kind of reconnaissance, a takeover of the account, some means of trying to evade detection, and then obviously the monetization of that. And these stages may or may not all occur on the phone channel. We see fraudsters very frequently cross channels, perpetrating part of the attack online, part of the attack by phone, and in some cases maybe even physically showing up or having their mule show up in a physical location to pick up merchandise or to cash out transfers. So how do we defend against these kinds of attacks in the phone channel? First thing to do is to actually track the phone fraud. One thing that we've noticed with customers is that a lot of companies are unaware of what's happening on the fraud channel. Understanding the relationship between accounts and orders and transactions with your phone calls is a really important way of tracking phone fraud. The next thing, obviously, that you want to do is to be able to detect when that phone fraud is occurring. And Pindrop offers solutions that do that based on the metadata and the audio associated with those phone calls. And then finally, you want to improve that authentication process, because once you can distinguish between the callers who are calling up to defraud your business and your customers and the ones who are placing legitimate money transfer orders, then you can begin accepting those orders instead of declining half of the orders that come through. How does Pindrop attack this problem? We look at it from the view of a unique technology we call phone printing. This is our patented technology. We actually look at the audio of a phone call to your business. We take about 15 seconds of that audio, we analyze it, and pull out 147 statistical features about that audio. And those statistical features form a fingerprint for the caller that we call a phone print. That allows us to detect repeat callers regardless of the fact that they may spoof their phone number or distort their voice. Those features also inform us about the type of that call and the geography of that call in a very coarse way. And that allows us to do some anomaly detection so that even on the first call, if we've never seen the fraudster before, if the fraudster is calling from outside the U.S. Using a voice over IP device, but they're spoofing my cell phone number, then we're going to detect in the audio a difference from what the phone number claims. And then we look at other risk factors as well, and we tie all those together to form a single risk score that tells you pretty precisely whether you should trust this call or not. Your phone channel is probably the weakest link, and we see sophisticated criminals use that phone channel for reconnaissance, for account takeover, and we recommend that you use phone printing from Pindrop to detect that phone fraud, investigate the attacks, and improve your authentication processes.